Good morning, YouTubers. T Square with T Square Talk. Hope everybody's having a great day. Got a great video planned out for you guys today, even though it's mostly going to be me talking about a recent conversation that was had. And then I'm kind of going to tell you guys a little bit about my thoughts on some of what's going on. This video is going to mention Bitcoin and crypto a lot. And yeah, I know a couple people tease me. They're like, it's living rent free in T Square's head. It definitely is living rent free. I think about Bitcoin a lot, but not always for the reasons why other people think about Bitcoin. So I'm going to go into a little bit today about some stuff that I just want people to think about when it comes to Bitcoin and gold and silver. Specifically because I know a lot of people are getting frustrated kind of with the fact that we're not seeing gold and silver reach the numbers that it should be reaching. A lot of people feel like the system's manipulated. We know as soon as they cut interest rates, we'll probably see some sort of a pullback on gold and silver and then a huge spike up. However, right now, who knows what's going on? The next Fed meeting now is at the end of September, I think. We won't see anything happen until September now. I think the opportunity for us to pick up precious metals on the cheap is slowly running out. And I think a lot of people sometimes feel frustrated that we're not seeing the true numbers. We're seeing a lot of manipulation. We're seeing a lot of money spent on propping up the DXY. I heard someone leave a comment today on Reddit that was, why do we waste all this money on making the DXY look good when the strength of the dollar really doesn't matter? That was what the person wrote. They said it doesn't matter unless you're going to go live in Mexico or in the Philippines or something. Then the strength of the dollar really does matter. And I'll be honest, I've talked before multiple times that at some point down the road, I would like to go live in Mexico or in the Philippines. Why? Because our dollar goes a whole lot further in those countries. However, the reason we're going to be talking about Bitcoin is because this frustration sometimes that people have gets people talking about just wanting to see a collapse of everything. And I was telling someone one day, if I wanted stuff to collapse, what I would do and how I would play it out. If I literally did not care, if I had a bunch of money and I just wanted to see literally the whole economic system just come crashing down, what would I do? I'm frustrated with the world. That's not me. I'm just saying, if it was, pretend for a minute this person is frustrated with the world. They hate the way things are. They hate the greed, the corruption. What would they do to really bring down the system if they had money? And so that's kind of going to be some of the stuff we're going to be talking about a little bit today. And for some people, they're not really going to find this interesting, but some people are going to connect the dots of what's happening before I get to the conclusion of this video. And if you do, let me know that you already see it coming where I'm going with this. You can even say the timestamp, like, yeah, by 2 minutes into the video, I knew where you were going with this. So if you enjoyed today's video, hit that thumbs up button, leave me a comment, let me know your thoughts. And if you're not subscribed, hit that subscribe button, help me out. Okay, so where am I going with this? What would someone do if they wanted to just crash the whole system and just like ruin everything? You know how there's people out there that just like literally if they're not winning the game, they don't want anybody else having fun. The guy that's losing the basketball game, and so he's just like, you know what, I'm going to take my basketball and I'm going to go home. Or I'm going to take my dominoes and I'm leaving. They just frustrated. They're upset. And, what could they do if they had money? Have you ever considered what's going on with Bitcoin right now? You got Bitcoin, we'll say Stratton, Sailor. We'll say they're buying up Bitcoin, then borrowing money against their holdings to buy more Bitcoin, to borrow more money to buy more Bitcoin. and then borrowing more against that Bitcoin to buy even more. What do you have? You have an endless cycle of the Bitcoin getting restricted, consolidated into a strong position, and you really have something being created that just continues to grow over and over. And now, I know some people out there are going to say, well, then that means it can never fail. It's kind of like the tax system in this country, here in the United States. It's a rigged game. I've always said that it's a rigged game. Think about this. I actually watched a short video explaining this too, and they did a great job explaining it. You start a company. You're buying oil wells. You take the profits from the oil wells and you start shipping it. You take the profits from the shipping and you start opening up refineries. You take the profits from the refineries. You start building some hotels for people to live there, apartment buildings, that type of stuff, for people that work within the company. You start buying up gas stations with the profits from them. And then the profits from the gas stations you put back into buying more wells. And at no point do you ever profit. You always make sure you spend every penny that you take in. Now, I actually know someone that did something similar to this, but they did it with real estate. Every year, they would make sure that they spent as much money as they had to spend to not pay taxes. And it's perfectly legit. It's a fair game. As long as you're not making money, you don't pay taxes. It's just the way the game is played. And it just continues to grow and grow and grow. And that's exactly what happened to this real estate company. And as it grew, it eventually got huge until the people decided, you know what, enough's enough. They want to retire. They want to enjoy life. One of them wanted to retire. He retired, and ironically, he passed away within a year. The other one didn't want to retire. He wanted to kind of keep the game going, kind of, but it's hard when you have something that big and it's a partnership. You've got to do a lot of trading and working out deals with the other person, but he was kind of a workaholic. He wanted to keep working. And so he made some deals until literally he passed away, and stuff hadn't even all been sold off yet. Now, where am I going with this? I'm explaining that the way the system is today when it comes to tax codes, the way it comes to people cheating the system. It's not cheating. I shouldn't even call it cheating, because it's more using the system that's in place. But back to the crypto, how they keep buying more crypto and then borrowing more against it. Now, what is that doing? Think about that for a minute. As they continue to buy more at higher and higher prices, what does it do? It almost puts a floor where it can't go down in price, because as soon as it starts coming down, they're already ready to buy more. They're creating their own floor and making it to where Bitcoin just keeps inching up for the most part. Now, yes, it can come down a little bit. It could drop a couple $1,000s. It could jump a couple $1,000s. But think about the person, though, back to the beginning of the video. I told you the person's frustrated with everything, and he wants to create something that can be tore down easy. He wants to ruin the system. He wants to ruin the game for everybody. How could that person do it? Well, if that person created it in the beginning, they would hold a lot of the Bitcoin. They could hold a bunch of it, knowing that the system will continue to grow. And the system feels safe right now. The people that are investing in Bitcoin, they feel they can't lose. That's why they're putting these speculative numbers, $1 million Bitcoin. I read all y'all's comments yesterday. So I know when I briefly mentioned Bitcoin, a couple people commented on it. Some people said they feel pretty good with their crypto investments. And hey, if you're diversified, I've said it from the get-go, you can't really go wrong on a diverse portfolio. If you've got some stocks, you've got some precious metals. Usually if stocks skyrocket, precious metals might come down. If the stock market gets outright destroyed, well, then your precious metals take over and really bail you out. Well, people that invest in crypto, it's another essentially diversification. They're holding something that's different. The only thing is it's not physical. It relies on the grid, and there is a flaw that some people are starting to realize now. And some of y'all may have already seen the flaw that's in there. The flaw is, why is it that 1% hold like 90% of the crypto? Think about that. Can you imagine if one entity owned 90% of all the gold in the world? Would you agree they could flood the market all at once? There was rumors, I remember reading something about King Solomon, where during King Solomon's time, you had gold to silver was like 10 to 1. So 1 ounce of gold was worth 10 ounces of silver. And then all of a sudden, King Solomon rode into this city with his huge caravan. And literally, he had so much gold, he moved the ratio to 1 to 1. He just flooded the market with gold. Anything they wanted, they just bought. They had tons of gold. Well, the same thing could happen with Bitcoin, and a lot of people don't realize that. We're going to get into gold and silver here in just a minute, though. We're getting there. I know some people are impatient, and they really don't want to hear about Bitcoin. They're just frustrated with Bitcoin, and I understand that. However, you got to understand, too, I believe Bitcoin's day will come, and it won't be in a positive way. You know, when you have 1%, and here's the thing, this is actually being talked about on Reddit. It's been talked about before that 1% hold 90% of the crypto. 90% of the, I shouldn't say crypto, 90% of the Bitcoin. This was in 2003. It started coming to light. People were realizing it. Why is that? Well, the early people that created Bitcoin, some people say it's the NSA. Some people think it's the Fed. Some people think it's government. Some people think it's the Antichrist. There's a lot of different theories out there on who created Bitcoin. Nobody knows who created it. Could be one upset guy that's just frustrated with the system because he got maybe laid off just before retirement. They just cut him loose and said, there goes your retirement. There goes your pension. Everything you worked for. And he's frustrated with the greed and corruption. He wants payback. We don't really know anything about who created Bitcoin, who created the whole blockchain. You know, they have a name, but they don't really know the person. Anybody could go by T-Square. You could be T-Square. I could be T-Square. Nobody knows who it is. You know, needless to say, if 1% holds 90% of the crypto, if the price keeps climbing, at some point, that 1% could decide, you know what, let's just destroy the price. We'll destroy the system. With everybody borrowing against Bitcoin, everybody borrowing more and more and more, I think they're setting the stage up for something big to happen. I heard someone say the other day that all these stable coins is a way for us to put all of the debt, the IOUs, everything, back them up to stable coins and then crash stable coin along with the dollar and literally just fully reset the system. You know, when you have something like gold or silver, it is a tangible item. It's an item that people need, whether you need it for a solar panel, whether you need it for the latest and greatest tech, whether you need it just for a wedding band, a wedding ring, piece of jewelry, something maybe to purify your water. Who knows? There's a lot of aspects to gold and silver, a lot of reasons why people like it, why people want it. They're not always the same. I actually know one lady, she's not a gold stacker. She's not, don't believe the dollar's going to collapse, but she has a lot of gold. And I mean a lot of gold. I mean, she would put a lot of us to shame. How does she have it? She has it in jewelry. To her, it's just pretty. It's just pretty. It's a status symbol. It looks good. Looks pretty. She can wear it. She takes it home. She locks it up. You know, and she's going to be okay. But there's a lot of reasons why people want gold and silver. With Bitcoin, why do people want Bitcoin? Let's be honest. Let's all talk about why the majority of people hold Bitcoin. If you hold Bitcoin, leave a comment below why you hold Bitcoin. And I want to be able to read these comments. I'm curious to see what people say. But with Bitcoin, most people I talk to that hold Bitcoin, because I do have friends that hold Bitcoin. I mean, there's even one member of the channel that holds Bitcoin. Hey, that's great. That's why I don't totally trash Bitcoin. I want to see people make money off it. But it scares me. It scares me that there's so many things that could go wrong with it. That's why it scares me. But where am I going with that? Bitcoin, yeah, it's great. It's diverse. But 1% holds 90% of it. They could crash the market tomorrow and just ruin the whole system. Do we really think the few should have that kind of power? What is the reason people buy Bitcoin? Most people that I talk to that hold Bitcoin, they buy Bitcoin because they say, well, I think it's going to be money of the future. Okay. Where do you think gold's going to be in the future? Oh, gold will be money of the future too. I said, in silver? Silver's just going to go up in price because of technology. Okay. So all three of them you think is going to go up. But my argument to that is, yes, all three may keep going up in the near future, but how many of them do you really need? If you buy silver because you think tech is going to advance and they're going to need more silver, you buy gold because of a combination of tech and maybe prestige jewelry, why Bitcoin? It's always because I think it's going to go up. You think there's going to be someone down the road that's going to pay you more for it. And maybe you will find someone. It all depends how far down the road you're thinking. But what happens if a day comes where someone doesn't want to pay you more for it? What happens if a day comes where they outlaw it? Hey, we don't want Bitcoin. We want stable coins. We're going to outlaw everything but stable coins. Why? Because of this problem right here. 1% holding 90%. With stable coins, that ain't the case. With stablecoin, it's back to the US dollar, the mighty dollar. And when you think about it, anything that's back to the dollar doesn't really mean anything. It doesn't. I mean, the dollar goes down, the stablecoin goes down. Yeah, it's always worth $1, but what happens if someone had backed a stablecoin to the old Venezuelan bolivar or the old peso when they devalued the peso 1,000 to 1? Well, what happened to the essentially stablecoin if they had a stablecoin back then? Oh, well, we're going to devalue that the same way because it's equal to 1 peso. So obviously we change the value on it. People have to understand what is actually happening in this process. With gold and silver, people need it. People want it. It's not just because someone might pay me more for it. The system is breaking down now. We're seeing it happen. Why do you think gold is at an all-time high? Every time gold rises in price at this much, things are bad. Think about when it's raised. It's gone up in 2008. Obviously, everybody knows about 2008, 2011, the 2008 housing crisis, which led to the QE, quantitative easing, which led to gold really taking off and silver taking off with it. What else? 1980. Everybody knows that. Inflation was wreaking havoc. It was the worst we had ever seen at the time. And people were getting scared. Why? What did they do? They flooded into gold and silver. And today, what's happening today that could make that happen again? You got job numbers being revised. You got unemployment on the rise. You got people blaming Donald Trump for all the unemployment. You got people blaming automation for all the unemployment. Do I think these have impacts on it? Of course. I mean, even just a couple jobs at your local Walmart that now they can use automation to ring up your stuff and you do it yourself. I did a video the other day at the gas station. I put my food on the little scanner and it took pictures of it and it gave me my price. It knew what I had. Was it 100% accurate? No. But one person can run a bunch of stations at one time. Taking a quick drink here. So yeah, all of this does play an impact on the unemployment levels. As more and more people become unemployed, that's more and more people that aren't making money, that aren't going to have extra money to buy stuff that maybe you produce or services that you serve. Maybe you work at a restaurant and people start losing their jobs in your area, and less people come in and eat at the restaurant. Less people come in and eat at the restaurant, they need less staff. So they let one or two of you go. And what does that do? That means whatever you spend your money on, you don't have extra money because you still got to pay the rent. You still got to pay the bills. Well, what happens if automation just takes over everything? Well, then you get into universal basic income. You get a check every month, and you basically do as you're told. Be a good little sheep. Line up. Get your universal basic income, and that's it. Here's the thing. I'm not going to lie. If all of a sudden they rolled out universal basic income, would I take it? Of course I would. It's free money. The system is going to ruin itself anyway. Why wouldn't you take it? I remember someone telling me they told me I would not take central bank digital currencies even if they gave them to me. Why? I'm not saying you have to fully adapt to it and just use it in your everyday life, but shoot, you want to put a couple $1,000s of play money in my play account, my central bank digital currency account, I'll take it. And I'll take the cash that I would have bought. I'll buy my groceries with the universal basic income, with the central bank digital currency, whatever it is. And I'll take the cash that I would have used on those items and maybe buy some gold and silver, something physical. Maybe I'll have to buy it on the black market. In some places, maybe at that point, it will be against the rules for people to buy that stuff. What just happened to my screen? I don't know if did my screen just go dark for a quick second? I don't know if you see it or if it's only me that sees that happen when it does that. When your computer goes to sleep, it doesn't shut off, but my screen went dark. I've always wondered if you guys see that when that happens. Put a comment in. I'm curious. So, you have to understand the direction that stuff is going. I believe that right now, the elites know what's going on. They are stacking as much gold and silver as they can, and they're distracting people with all these other little things. Oh, we're going to pass a law. Call it the Genius Act. And yeah, don't get me wrong. The Genius Act, I'm not going to say I'm against it, because it's a way to prop up the dollar. Now you've got people buying stable coins, and the money is getting used to prop up essentially the dollar. They have to use those dollars that they take in to invest them in treasury bonds that earn interest, and then they make the interest. The treasury bonds get bought up, which kind of protects the dollar. And even if countries move away from it, we're creating an artificial demand, essentially. And here's the thing. If you've got, who's really buying stable coins? People that have extra money. I doubt anybody out there is living paycheck to paycheck and they're buying Bitcoin or stable coins. I don't even think that many people are living paycheck to paycheck and they're stacking silver. There are going to be some. I'll be honest. There are some out there. I talked to some of y'all. I think most people, though, are using their extra income above and beyond what they need for silver, for Bitcoin, for that stuff. Is it going to be the end of the world if Bitcoin crashes? The people that are holding it and it collapses are going to definitely feel it. They're going to feel discouraged. There was a time when the stock market just fully collapsed during the Great Depression. In the early days, people were jumping out of windows, out of buildings. It was on a high. People were frustrated. They lost everything. You know, it felt to them after they worked their whole lives away, the stock market collapsed, banks didn't have money, everything was just happening so fast. Could that happen today? I think a lot of people don't realize that history tends to repeat itself. I know a lot of people out there that follow the channel understand this. There's a lot of people in the world that don't understand this. They think nothing bad. I actually had my nephew tell me one day, oh, you can't go wrong investing in the stock market. It never goes down. And I told him, I said, what do you mean it never goes down? He goes, yeah, it might go down for a year, but by next year, it'll be right back up where it was. What's the worst down we could get? What's the worst down you've ever seen? I said 2008, and it lasted a while. 2000, it lasted a while. You know, once you realize that, we could see some sort of a collapse. And it doesn't have to be next year it's going to recover. It could be a decade of no profits. Think about that for a minute. Think about your life savings. You're about ready to retire, and your life savings just plunges in price. Yeah, you didn't lose any money if you still hold the shares. You didn't lose any money if you still hold the coins, the Bitcoins or whatever. You know, people will take that attitude like, oh, I didn't lose nothing. I still got the same amount of Bitcoin. Just like you say you still got the same amount of silver. If silver goes down by $5, I still got the same amount of ounces. Okay, you're right. That is true. I still have the same amount. You still have the same amount. But what happens if that's locked away now for 10 years? You can't sell it because you don't want to take that loss. Despite what people think, gold and silver tend to do really well in downturns. Why? Because all that fiat money has to go somewhere. It doesn't just disappear. Everybody thinks, oh, when that happens, the dollar just disappears. There's no dollars out there. No, the dollars are still out there. It's like a game of hot potato. You don't want to get stuck with it. A company's going under. Do you want to get stuck with a check from that company before they go bankrupt? No, you want to hurry up and pass that check off to somebody. It's the same way with dollars. So those dollars will be chasing other stuff. Some people may be chasing Bitcoin. Some people may be chasing stocks. Some people may be chasing gold or silver. You know, the attitude of, would I ever sell my silver? Well, okay, maybe if it tripled or doubled or tripled in price, I might sell some. Would I ever sell it all? No. Would I sell some? Yeah, because even those dollars, keep in mind, there's also going to be people out there that are selling their cars because they need money to make ends meet. Their vehicles, their toys, their houses, their second homes, their vacation packages. Who knows? There's going to always be people that are making bad choices, and now they've got to just let go of something they bought. I remember during, I think it was 2008, I was buying huge collections of Hot Wheels, sports cards. Why? Because everybody was having a hard time making ends meet. Collectibles, people couldn't afford to keep them. One bad thing comes up, and they had to sell. Even today, I know people that are selling silver because they're having a hard time making ends meet. And I do try to pick up what I can when I can. I especially try to help out people that I know personally that are just need money right now. I can buy their silver. I know it's probably not going to go down anytime soon. Could we see a little bit of a pullback? Yeah, but are we going to see anything major? Not likely. I was watching another channel yesterday or today. His prediction is we will never see sub $30 silver again. The lowest we could go down to is, I think he said the 30-day moving or the 160-day moving average or whatever, the 360, I don't know what it was. And it might go down to $33 roughly. Okay. I mean, is it the end of the world? Nope. Just opportunity to buy more. A lot of us are looking for dips so we can pick up a little bit more silver. I know I am. I picked up a couple huge orders last week. I'll probably do a package opening. I haven't done package openings lately for a couple reasons. One, I slowed down on buying. Why? Because some of y'all know I borrowed money when silver was down to 29 or 30, something like that. I borrowed a bunch of money on my 0% credit card. I said, you know what? I got a year to pay it off. What's silver going to be worth in a year from now? It'll be worth more than it is today. Well, you know what? I'll do my purchase now. One big order. Get the price now, and we'll see what happens. If the price goes down, well, then, yeah, it's going to be sucking a little bit that I paid $30, $31 or whatever for all that silver, and now I can buy it at $25, but I wasn't convinced that could happen. Now, we're at almost $40 silver. We're at $38. Think about that. $38 silver almost. We'll probably see $38 silver today. It's nice to know I already picked up mine. Now, did I pick up a little bit more? Yeah. Well, all that time I've been, one, paying down that credit card. Even though I have a year, I don't want to wait till the last day and be like, uh-oh, and then get hit with all kinds of interest. But here's the thing. The extra money, I have extra money on hand. Okay, I'll put in a big order. The price is low. It's only going to be up. Did I make a ton? No. That order that I put in, those ounces, I can buy them today for about $1, $1.25 more. I would have no trouble selling them already and get my money back out of them. I'm not planning on selling them. I'm just saying. You know, people have to really look at the big picture. People get too emotional. I did a video yesterday about people getting emotional over these silver moves, these drops. Why do you think they happen? You know, some people will say, well, that's the manipulation that makes it happen. Yes, that is. It's manipulation, but it's also manipulation designed to have an impact on you, to make you make a decision. If we know we're going to take the price of silver down to $36, let's hike it all the way up to $40 before we do, to scare people to hurry up and put their order in before it's $50. And then all of a sudden they put their orders in at $40, they blow their cash, then we take it down to $36, we clear the short position, and then we just let it go back up real quick. And here we are back up to 38 now. From 36 and a quarter, 36.50. Very few people caught 36 and a quarter. If you did, leave a comment and say, I caught 36 and a quarter. Or what you caught that recent. You know, some people even tell me they pick up stuff at spot once in a while. So, with that being said, I am probably going to wrap this video up here. However, if you don't believe in this 90% of all Bitcoin is owned by the top 1%, look it up. It's not just on Reddit. There's been plenty of articles. The beauty of crypto, the beauty of blockchain is it's all public. I may not know that you hold wallet XYZ, you personally, but I know that wallet XYZ has what it has in there. That's the cool thing about Bitcoin. You can see everybody's accounts. You can see everybody's balances. You just don't know who physically owns that wallet. You can't link it to a person. Only person that knows is that person. I don't think the government ain't creating a database that wallet XYZ just sent some crypto to, I don't know, John Doe, and had it mailed to John Doe's personal house, whatever he bought with that Bitcoin. Now, some people are smart enough that they're not going to be buying anything with Bitcoin that comes back to their name because they want to keep their wallets totally secret. However, don't think there ain't entities out there, 3 letters, that are tracking this stuff, that are tracking who has what. I mean, how do you think when someone gets caught for fraud or something that they seize all their Bitcoin? If it was truly untrackable, untraceable, you couldn't seize their stuff. These guys that get in trouble for fraud and all this, scamming the system, stealing Bitcoin, how do they gain access to all that? Well, it makes sense because they already know. They're not going to go after probably someone that doesn't hold more than half a Bitcoin. They're going after the bigwigs, the people that are holding it, so they know. With that being said, we're going to wrap the video up here. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did enjoy today's video, please take a quick minute, hit that thumbs up button, leave me a comment, and hit that subscribe if you're not subscribed, because we are trying to grow the channel. We are at currently 14,900 subscribers, about ready to hit 15,000, but we have been stuck on this number for like a month now. So let's make a push. Share the video if you enjoyed it, and thank you all for watching. I gotta come up with a good title for this video because I don't know what I'll title it. So take care, everybody. Have a great day and a great rest of your week. I'll see you again tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Have a good one. Bye-bye.